brothers and sisters, what is the meaning of today's feast of the Nativity of the Mother of God? What can a newborn baby tell us? What can she say to us? Well, in superficial terms, nothing. And yet, she, like her own child later in Bethlehem, her own baby, she speaks to us. And she says a lot through this event of the feast, which was prepared as we read in the life, in the story of this feast, through the prayers of her parents. Now, typically, when you look at any feast, the kontakion of the feast, which is to be found after the 6th ode of the canon, gives the inner meaning of the feast, right? So let's just listen to the words of the kontakion. It goes like this: O undefiled by thy holy nativity, Joachim and Anna were set free from the reproach of childlessness, and Adam and Eve from the corruption of death. Delivered from the guilt of sin, thy people keep the feast as they sing unto thee. The barren woman bears the Theotokos who sustains our life. These are the words of the kontakion. This is the meaning of the feast. And this feast thus speaks of the fruits of prayer. Real prayer. How can we really pray? That's a good question, because, you know, it's something that we need special circumstances to teach us. First of all, we will pray in real terms when we understand that there's nothing else left except for prayer. Right? Nobody else will help us. We turn to God. That is, the beginning of real prayer. Secondly, as we hear in the kontakion, which I just read, it mentions Joachim and Anna's reproach of childlessness. Now, that couple, that pious couple, endured things, whispered behind their backs by people in Israel, because in Israel it was seen as a sign of God taking away his blessings, that when a couple could not have children. Right. So they endured great dishonor from people. And the Holy Fathers, you know what they say? There is nothing more beneficial for us than to endure dishonor. Why? Because it heals. It's the only thing that can heal vainglory and pride even deeper. Endurance of dishonor. When people are not nice to us, when they say bad things to us, and we know about it, and we accept it, that does miracles for our souls. How do we normally react? We get indignant. How dare you say this about me? I'm such a good person, right? I'm such a worthy person. But if we just endure in patience the things that may or may not be true about us from other people, it does a lot. And so Joachim and Anna had both of these aspects. First of all, they had nowhere else to go except to God in their prayer. And secondly, their prayer was made strong through their endurance of that dishonor. because when the soul is humbled this way, it opens up to the grace of God, right? And prayer can do the same thing for each one of us that it did for Joachim and Anna. Our barren soul can bear fruit, can bring forth the birth giver of God, because she is the image of the church. In other words, the church begins to live within us, our soul. That's what I'm talking about in a kind of a symbolic way. The church, of whom the Mother of God is the image, begins to live within us, and she feeds the life that is Christ. Christ born also within our soul, within our life. Humble prayer opens our soul not only to God, but to other people, to our neighbor, in a real sense. I can tell you what. I can tell you something. That when we have our fists up, there is no communication with any person, and people feel it when we have that defensive, aggressive attitude to the people around us. But when we open up in humility, then people feel it as well, and they will open up to us. And that's the mystery of the church. The church life is about that. The church becomes a birth giver of God when it receives the Holy Spirit and lives by it. And if we're part of that church, something begins to grow within us, a new life. Because the Holy Spirit shows Christ to us. Christ is made manifest, as the Holy Fathers would say, through the Holy Spirit. And as we live the life of the church in prayer, in the sacraments, especially the Holy Eucharist, then Christ becomes apparent to us in the same sense that it is apparent to us that we are alive, and we feel our body, and we feel that I think therefore I am, I hurt therefore I am, we can say to ourselves. In the same way we can say Christ is there, I feel Christ. So let this feast speak to us concerning real prayer that opens up our soul to God and to the understanding of His life, which is given to us within the church, in Christ. Amen.